Hey all, it's Pam from sunny California. Wanted to say hi and hope everybody had a great weekend this past weekend. Oh, my phone's dinging. Just goes to show I don't remember to silence everything every time. But something happened that I really just wanted to share with you guys today because it, I think, really ties into everything we've been talking about lately around cash flow forecasting. So, really been focusing on how harmlessly easy it is to get cash flow forecasting done and in place in your business and still be able to claim finance is fun. Talked a little bit about that. In fact, this weekend on Saturday, I'm going to be doing a full-on broadcast that is going to be three complete video segments on doing cash flow forecasting in a way that is easy, showing you how to do it, and then even more than that, showing you once you've done it, how to kind of wend your way out of issues that you might see. And again, what I say about cash flow forecasting is I promise you that just putting it on paper is absolutely not going to make the problem any worse. And so I offer to you that putting it on paper might actually help us find a way out. And I'm going to offer some of those typical ways out on that call. And they involve ways that you can, with cash flow, as we've talked, there are really two major things you can control: how quickly you collect money and how slowly you spend money. And there are a couple of tips and tricks I've learned over time that allow you to do that in a way that doesn't upset your customers, doesn't scare your vendors. And the other thing I'd say about that is in a lot of cases, and in cases where I've dealt with businesses who've been close to a zero cash flow, it doesn't often mean that they're in bad shape. It truly means that they are using their own money to invest in growth, and it's just enough to be able to support the growth that they've planned. And the really neat thing about understanding forecasting is you can make sure that if you want to go into a growth pattern in your business and you have a great idea that you want to put out there, you can really use this forecast to make sure you know, yep, I can go ahead and do A, B, C, and D, and I know that in week 5, I'm going to have to draw, geez, $5,000 on my credit card. But in week 6 or in week 7, I know I'm going to collect the cash to cover it. And that way you don't have to worry about going down a rabbit hole of debt and not really seeing an end to it. You'll know if you're achieving your objectives or not, and if you need to course correct or pivot or do something else or stop in some cases. As we all know, the message is often fail fast. And I agree with that completely, because if we're not failing, if we're not making mistakes, I've told this to every team I've ever worked with in industry, if you're not, in every development discussion I've had with them, if you're not making some kind of mistake once, then you're probably not stretching enough. You're probably not giving 100%, because 100%, and I normally say 110 or 120 until somebody actually convinced me that was impossible. But that said, if you're giving 100%, then by definition, you are, in a lot of cases, challenging the status quo, trying to do things more efficiently or better or differently every day. And when you do that kind of thing, you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to get numbers wrong. You're going to trip over somebody else's idea. You're going to create a product that completely flops. Those things are going to happen, and it's okay for those things to happen, especially if we have the financial tools in place to be able to look at it and say, hey, I knew if this was going to work, I was expecting to see $1,000 here, $2,000 the next week, and $3,000 the next week. And I haven't seen that. So that tells me that on some level or another, I need to either adjust something, or I need to call this one a failure, wrap it up, and move on. And the thing that really, really helps with the cash flow forecast there is you've got the spotlight to shine on it. You're not just flailing around in the dark looking to try and hope your way out of a problem or think your way out of a problem. You've got hard data and numbers that were not really hard to put together. That's the part I promise you, and we'll cover the how probably in more of the video lives this week, but also in the Facebook Live, the long Facebook Live that I have scheduled for this coming Saturday. So again, cash flow forecasting is key, whether I'm on the East Coast in Pennsylvania or on the West Coast in California. And even though as hard as I tried to fly across the country on the day of the eclipse somehow glimpse it, I managed to miss the whole thing. So luckily the sun, or not luckily, unluckily, I don't know. The sun was directly above my plane, so I completely missed any effect of the eclipse. But I hear that it was amazing. And that said, whether I'm on the East Coast or on the West Coast, I still maintain finance can be fun. I still maintain that we can all get cash flow forecasts put in place without a lot of pain, and that we're going to talk about exactly how to do that and make sure that you have the tools and tips and tricks to not only do it, but then to get yourself out of potential trouble that might be on the horizon. Some ways to really increase how quickly the cash comes in the door without alarming your customers, and slowing down how fast money goes out the door without alarming your vendors and suppliers and employees and all of that. So I'm going to cover a lot of those in detail this week. I want to start with, on this video, just talking about the cash coming into the business. So with cashes coming into the business from your customers, a lot of us have some sort of payment plan that we put in place for our customers. We'll say, give us, $2,000 today, and then we'll take $1,000 a month for the next 6 months. Or my program costs $10,000 for the year, or $1,000 a month. Or my product costs, $200 today, or $100 a month for 3 months. We all have a lot of those deals. In some cases with products, when we make them, we'll sell a product and we'll tell a customer, you pay us with what we call 30-day terms or 60-day terms, which means they can pay you 30 days after they receive either the invoice or the product, or 60 days. And a lot of us actually dealing with really large customers, often they'll force those terms out to 30 to 60 to 90 to even, I've seen, 120 days, which is patently unfair to small business, by the way. That said, what I want to focus on is, if you're a person with those kind of payment terms and you look at your cash flow forecast and it pops up to you that, oh, geez, I got a problem here. One of the things you can do is accelerate those payments. Make an offer to your existing clients and say, hey, I've got a really exciting idea about how to enhance this program. I want to invest in it right away. So I'm giving you a one-time opportunity to get a bonus to be part of that program, and that bonus would involve you paying off your remaining 6 months of $100 payments if you write me a check for $350 or $400 today. Because normally when we are growing and when we have cash flow issues, it is because we want to invest in additional content or additional meaningful product for our customers. So that's my tip for the day. Figure out a creative and non-threatening way, and I just gave you one example, but there are millions of others. I'm sure if you have any ideas, pop a comment in below here, to give your customer a benefit, a financial benefit of paying you early without alarming them. I'm only doing this once for a certain set of customers, but you still owe $600 over the next 6 months. You'd like to write me a check for $400 today, we'll call it even. So I'm using numbers that are a little bit crazy, but it depends on how severe the situation is. So just wanted to throw that out there as one tip, one idea. More of those to come during the week. I wish you all a fantastic rest of week, and I'll see you here and on the Pam Pryor fan page. I would ask that you please feel free to like that fan page over there. I would love to get more and more feedback from you all on what information is most valuable to you that we're supplying out here on live. And I'll remind you that the podcast is going to go live. It's called Cash Flow, and it's going live as a radio show and a podcast on iTunes, a radio show on WCKG TV in Chicago on September 15th. And I am looking for folks to participate in my podcast launch, so I will take any and all help you can give me on that. Please just comment below or PM me or shoot a note to the page and let me know. In the meantime, hop over there and like that page so that we can keep you in touch with all of these tips and tricks as they evolve. Tons of exciting stuff happening, and want to make sure that you get all the information you need to set that Finances Fund pillar up in your business. Take care.